So I was sorting through some Facebook events, seeing if anything came up at the last minute that I might want to go to. And I came across this Allied Media Conference, which is something that I had heard of before, but I've never gone to one of them. And I thought, let's take a look through here, see what's actually going on. And I can't say I really looked too deeply into it, but what I did see disappointed me. And this is what I have to say about that. You might expect that I should probably go to the Allied Media Conference in Detroit this month. Sounds like my kind of thing, right? I kind of wanted to post this on their site, but I think it's better if I post it here, and you can bring them here if you'd like. I just don't want to concede the ability to moderate or not moderate. It's a kind of a problem with that part of the political spectrum, is that if they don't like what you have to say, they just delete it, and then they call you names. I do hope that there's enough awareness at this stage to know that their claims are probably frivolous, and that if you get deleted, it's just because they don't like what you have to say, right? Nonetheless, well, I mean, this is what stifling speech does, right? It restricts the discourse. So you learn that you don't begin threads on their space because they will remove them. They can have their circle jerk, right? If you want to actually have a critical discussion, then you need to have it somewhere else. That's I'm not particularly in favor of nasty comments either, but I mean, you have to strike a balance, right? And that balance is not struck there. It's just like I say, if they don't like what you have to say, they just take it down. I think there's enough awareness about that, and this is the consequence. It's not that they have the narrative controlled in a specific way so much as that they're removed from the narrative. It's the age-old lesson that authoritarianism just doesn't work, right? I mean, that's my argument about religion, right? I would actually love to just round up all the religious people and like shoot them to the moon. I know that's not going to work, right? Look what happened in Russia, right? They tried to kill them all, and a few generations later, they came back stronger than ever. So it's just it doesn't work. You've got to use other tactics, right? Anyways, if you go through the list of events, something should jump out. It seems designed to break people down into tiny little subsets. So that you have the meeting for trans people of color, the meeting for latinas, the meeting for women of color, the meeting for, dwarfs from islands in the Central Pacific. It's just dwarfism is an island characteristic. So let's not forget this. Right? People from islands are shorter because it's a well-known biological trait. Anyways, and a few meetings that are exclusively geared at white people too, specifically to tell us that we're racists. When I see that, I interpret it as counterproductive. You get all of these people together in the same space to talk about politics, but then you break them down in these tiny little micro demographics. So we all get there, and it's just like, hey, you go over here, you go over here, you go over here. And like it is actually, like if you read the descriptions, it says, this space is only for women of color. This space is only for trans people. So where's the organizing happening? Where's the, where's the togetherness? Where's the networking? When you go to a rally, that's what the cops do, is they break you up. They break you up before you even get to the rally here. And so if I was going to write the book on how to break up the revolution without a stick, that's pretty much exactly what I'd write. Break them down into divisions, make sure they don't talk to each other, make sure they walk out having seen nothing but their own reflections. and call it shared experiences. Maybe with a heightened sense of isolation. And what else do you get out of walking into a conference like this and only talking to other people that are like you, that look like you, that sound like you, or they can be categorized as statistically similar to you anyways? You should walk out of that place feeling isolated, because the conference was designed to isolate you. Where did the meeting on interracial class struggle? Where does the, where do you go if you want the Latina to network with, the white guy from Ohio? Where's that meeting? Because that's the meeting I want to go to. I don't want to go to the meeting where everybody's broken down into little pieces. I want to go to the meeting where everybody comes together. But it's not on the list. There's actually an introduction to being a DJ. But there's nothing about bridging divides. Nothing about bridging racial divides. Nothing about bridging gender divides. Nothing about bridging the language divides. Or class divides. It's all about creating divides and then enforcing them. So I'm thinking, what the hell? I don't want to rail against, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a place for trans people to meet and talk to each other, that's fine. But the only thing on the schedule is these broken down micro demographics. What the fuck is up with this? Then I looked a little bit closer. The event has some major sponsors, including the Ford Foundation. Ford Foundation. It's unusual. I've never been to a progressive event with the Ford Foundation putting money into it before. I know that the Ford Foundation puts a lot of money into kind of fake progressive events, not real grassroots organizations, right? And as soon as I saw that, I realized what was going on. What do you think the Ford Foundation wants at an event like this? Do you think the Ford Foundation wants to fund seminars on class struggle? No, the Ford Foundation wants to break you up into little pieces so you don't get any bad ideas. They want to put you in a room by yourself. Rather, I might suggest it with the Ford Foundation as well as Google. What would Google want? They're funding it through their functional Mozilla subsidiary. What would they want? They want data. Okay? That's what Google always wants. And then when you piece that together, you should see why that makes sense. Because that's what an advertising company does, right? Breaking you down into micro demographics before the event starts and sending you off which way, that way. Trans people go over here, Latinos go over here, Africans go over here. That doesn't really help in building connections or any kind of revolutionary politics. But it does help an advertising company. That's exactly what an advertising company would want. Would be to break you down into these little categories so they can study you and figure out ways to sell things to you. So what do I think this event's actually going to be like? I think that once they break you down into these tiny little groups, they're going to ask you a lot of questions, and then there's going to be people in the back of the room taking notes, filming it. They've got it on microphones, audio recordings, and it's all about collecting data. I did pull one thing out that looked a little bit interesting. It was a workshop on the peer-to-peer sharing economy. Sounds like kind of an anarchist thing. Maybe I might meet some anarchists there. It would be nice. I haven't really met any anarchists since I moved to Windsor. It's hard enough to find them in Ottawa. But on second glance, what came out was the likelihood that it's a focus group to unveil an advertising strategy. The white website had venture capitalists all over it. So they've got big money coming into a quote-unquote sharing economy thing because that's the buzzword nowadays, right? That's not when you've got money pouring in from the Ford Foundation, nobody's sharing anything except profits, and you're probably not in on it. So you need to be careful with this shit, okay? This isn't real. And don't be fooled into thinking that it is. What I think that a lot of the reactionary right fails to realize is that a great deal of what they're railing against is really corporate advertising, marketing strategies to gather data. And there's a lot of people that get sucked into it, looking for something better, right? World's a shitty place, the way that we've set up the economy, the way that we get people fighting against each other. It's I can have some empathy for people that are looking for something else, and this is a kind of a net that they put out to catch people that are falling, right? But it's not outside of the system so much as it's just a way to enforce it, right? Kind of the rubber padding that they use to catch you and push you back in, right? And it's been my experience that that's ultimately what happens with everybody, almost. There's kind of a subset of people that they keep out, right? To an extent, I fall into that category. To an extent, I don't. But I I pulled myself out. But this isn't this isn't a revolutionary discourse. This is an advertising